Okay, so I'm gonna see Bandit's on place in my house. I don't know how well this is gonna go. I might turn this light on. But I was kind of hoping to create some anticipatory behavior in him and show you how you can break it down for him at home to start addressing this. You know, as a side note, anticipation and reactivity are actually almost the exact same thing. Every single dog that comes here that's leash reactive is anticipatory. It's all like cut and dry correlation. And if you think about it, this anticipatory behavior is a lack of impulse control, right? I'm not really waiting for the next command. My brain's already out the door, right? I'm not really waiting for the one cue that I'm supposed to be given to move forward. I'm anticipating your every move in hopes to move forward. So he's really anticipatory. So especially like he's moody. So it's like sometimes doorways are perfect and he like doesn't anticipate anything. But if he's kind of wound up or needing a bigger activity, like he's, you know, even at doorways he sits, but he's, you know, he's more anticipatory the more exciting the stimulation is in the environment. So doing something like this doesn't create nearly as much anticipation in him as if I were to add like a ball into this equation. And then he's going to start anticipating. The thing that's hard about dogs that are one, reactive, and two, anticipate every stinking thing in the world is that you have to go so slow and you have to be so precise and consistent in order to nip it in the bud that it really needs to be broken down into baby steps. So one, we're going to break it down into baby steps, and two, we need to eliminate any opportunities for him to be anticipatory where we're not in a position to be exact, so that we can be consistent in changing the behavior. And this is possible to change the behavior. It's hard for my clients to change dogs' behavior because they're not consistent typically. And those inconsistencies usually pop up in situations like, for instance, they're you know, gonna go on a hike with a friend, right? They're a friend and them are gonna meet at the trailhead and they're gonna go on a hike. The owner, the average dog owner is gonna spend lots and lots of time working through anticipation if they really want it. They're gonna spend lots of time breaking it down for their dog if their friend's not around. But the moment their friend gets presented into the picture, no one wants to make their friend wait to get what you need accomplished. And there's always a little bit of anxiety in that social pressure, right? That's the key, is that when we start to add that social pressure, we start to become anxious about trying to hurry up because we don't want to keep people waiting. And so these are either scenarios that need to be eliminated right now so that you can fix the problem and build up to that, or you need to tell all your friends what you're doing. Because if you allow, like if you forget that you were supposed to be working on this with him for even a session or two, that window of opportunity for a cattle dog really, really, really makes changing behavior super challenging. I see this in actually all cattle dogs, specifically German Shepherds. I clump into that. This breed is extremely high-strung, neurotic. You know, I think he's, as I'm saying this, he's like, oh, I would take a nap. It's like, he has his moments. We both know that he has his kind of crazy moments, right? Because he's a high-energy dog. But cattle dogs specifically, in my experience, really, really struggle changing overall behavior and habit when they've been in a certain environment for a long period of time, because they are so smart and they are so habitual and typically the average dog owner, and I'm not saying this is you, but typically the average dog owner doesn't have it in them to be that consistent dog trainer, and so it gives the cattle dog all these loopholes in training to find inconsistencies, and in that process, that loophole and that inconsistency doesn't allow for the brain to remold itself into a new behavior, right? So when we're trying to change behavior, we have to actually change the brain's habit in order for it to go away, where we're not managing it anymore. It's now expectation. So because we're kind of rehabilitating him, which he was very anticipatory at the first board and train too. This is definitely part of who he is. But when you add lack of sleep and overstimulation to it, you're going to amplify that. The more exciting the stimulation is that he's working around, the more you're going to add to that. The more anxious you are or unattentive you are, the worse he's going to be at it. So those are some factors to consider. But this breed specifically it's really, really hard to change overall habit patterns because of inconsistencies. So my advice to you would be pick and choose your battles. I think it's important that you focus on anticipation because you really don't want him to be reactive anymore towards things when he sees dogs and people and stuff. So actually working on both, the reactivity and the anticipation will coincide with changing both behaviors. But I want to warn you that this could take up to a year or so before you're going to see it become something you don't have to manage. Dogs who have been doing this for a long time and who have natural tendencies to anticipate everything are going to try to be this way as much as they can get away with it before they're going to give it up. So you've got a lot of work, a lot of consistency, and a lot of really almost mapping out your day so that you know you can be attentive towards this. So if that's not something you want to do, like you're like, holy shit, like I didn't realize I was going to be like that. And you might make that decision after I show you if I can get him to anticipate how hard it is to get him to stop. Then pick your battles. Just don't worry about it. Try the best that you can, you know, and recognize that this is kind of part of his personality right now. He's high intensity, and that it's a hard behavior to change, and that you maybe you're not in the place right now to focus on it. You seem like the type of person who really wants to focus on it. I think that Bandit's a huge part of your life. So I'm going to encourage you to, but I want you to understand that sometimes we do have to pick and choose our battles when it comes to dogs, because consistency and repetition is really the only way to change behavior. So if we don't modify their life so that we're consistent and that the handler doesn't commit to being conscious of being consistent, you can't remold the dog's brain. So, what I'm doing right now with him is every time he anticipates, I completely stop moving, right? So if he's going to anticipate me coming over and grabbing his leash to get him to go outside, I'm just going to stop moving, and I'm going to stand still, and I'm either going to wait for him to settle, or I'm going to actually back up and create more space from him, and then start over. What I've started doing with him, because the amount of repetitions this was taking was kind of excessive, is I started telling him no every time he anticipated. So I would stop, no, disagree, and then I would either wait until he calmed down and move forward again, or if it was really excessive and really bad, then I would actually walk away entirely. But when you stop what you're doing, anytime you disagree with the dog, and when you're in a training session, and by the way, life is a training session, so that's probably a false comment. But, you know, when you're really working on kicking anticipation in the butt, you know, or any behavior like walking in front, or, you know, busting through doors too quickly, or whatever the issue is that you're trying to focus on, dogs really learn super quickly. If the handler stops moving forward with the dog, they're not following through with what they want to do. And dogs want to move forward, they want to follow through. So if we stop and we, either restart it or bring them back to us and restart it, the dogs start to learn that she's not going to move forward if I act like that. What else can my brain do to get her to move forward? Because that's what I want her to do. I want her to move forward. That's why I'm anticipating it so much. She won't move forward with me. What can I do to get her to move forward? Because that's what I really want. So by stopping, you discourage the behavior. I have been saying no because it helps, he's super smart and it helps move along the process better, right? And then what I'm going to do, which I'm going to show you here in a sec, is I'm going to almost do these repetitions until I see that there's zero anticipation, and then the reward is, hey, finally, you're going to move forward. Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. Hey, what's up? I do. Okay. All right. Okay. See you in a bit. I don't know. Okay. Sorry, I'm making a video for my client, so it's recording me right now as we're talking. Okay, bye. Sorry, Keisha. All right. Let's just get to work. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to act like see that? No. Okay, and actually in this particular scenario, I said no, I disagreed. You'll notice, oh shoot, I hope you probably can only see my butt. I'll try to do it from the side this next time. Darn it, I didn't think about it. So the very second he anticipated my behavior, I stopped moving. I just stopped. So, and then I said no. And he's so sensitive. Oh, I'm so sorry, I messed up, I didn't know. He's so cute. But really what I need to do now, especially in this particular scenario, is I need to wait and see that he has settled again. Because he was really, really calm and relaxed, right? And the moment I grabbed his long line, he's like, oh, we're going? It's like, no. That's don't worry about it, dude. I might be moving your leash around. This is not a cue to get off your place board, right? I've decided to back up because if you notice, he's in this really awkward down where he's not really that relaxed. So he's still anticipating. So what I need to do is wait for him. Now he went back down onto his hip instead of that pouncing position, that down that has the hunches up, so he's in that pouncing, ready to go position. I waited until he went on his hip. And now that he is in a relaxed state, I'm going to restart the process. No. And you'll notice that I'm not, and because he's on place, I'm not telling him to sit or down. I'm just disagreeing with the anticipation. And then I'm actually waiting for him to go down on his own. So I might try to make another video on anticipation that's not in like a doorway, like maybe it's in a doorway or something that's not place related, because this is specifically place work, and it's kind of a form of trigger training, which if you go look at my YouTube page, you'll kind of see there's all sorts of other videos of other dogs doing trigger training. So if you want to advance your knowledge on that and see other dogs at work, trigger training is a huge part of place training for me, because what I'm trying to teach the dog is don't worry about a damn thing until I release you. Other than that, you don't need to anticipate a damn thing. Right? So because he does, and he gets so worked up about sometimes the littlest things, like just me grabbing the leash, I could tell him to sit and down, but that's a physical thing for him. By me allowing him to work it out on his place board entirely, until he comes to the conclusion of this really nice calm down, then the brain is now actually going through this on its own. So the brain is now calmer instead of just the body physically going into a position. So that's actually why in this particular activity I don't do a lot of direction with hey, lay back down, because I actually want him to soothe himself. I want him to calm himself all the way back down without me interfering. So now that he's calm, I'm going to go ahead and reach for the handle again. Nope. So you can see, like, this is a really little thing, and it might not be something you ever thought about, but this is something he's been doing for a long time. You grabbing the leash, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not you, maybe it's just me. Usually dogs do it because they have been doing it for so long, but just you grabbing the leash has turned into representing that anticipatory state. So yesterday I did this with him, and I didn't say no at first, I didn't disagree at first, and then I started to implement the no, because it took me, like, I don't know, probably 10 repetitions before I decided to say no to him. This is not a dumb dog, right? It's like, you're really intelligent. But I felt like he needed a little bit more information, because it didn't matter how many times I did the reps, he continued to want to follow through with the behavior, you know. So that only took three reps. The fourth one, he got it. And, you know, the cool thing is, too, is that I moved away and continued to move forward, and he didn't anticipate any of that either. So this is actually progress from last night to tonight. Now, I want you to think about this in terms of basically anything that gets him anticipatory, you know? So what does he do when he sees the training vests? What does he do when you grab your car keys? What does he do when you put on a specific pair of, maybe a pair of running shoes? You know, when you start to break it down and really think about all the things that Bandit moves forward towards. Oh my God. Oh my God, we're gonna go on a car ride. And he runs to you because you got your keys. Oh my God, we're gonna go grab my training vest. Oh my God, we're gonna go work at Walmart. Runs to you because you grabbed your training vest. These are all impulsive behaviors. They're seeing a form of stimulus. It's not as big of a stimulus as a dog, but they're seeing a form of stimulus, and it's creating the brain to move forward. They're moving forward, and they're escalating with excitement and probably prey drive as a result. So by breaking this down and starting by grabbing the leash, grabbing your pair of running shoes, or grabbing his vest that he gets so excited about, and just breaking it down into steps for him where you really kill that anticipation over the stimulus, you'll notice that every single session he's going to get better about it. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to grab the vest and he'll do this. Or you're going to grab your car keys and he's going to stay like this, because he has learned that is not the release word. I need to wait for my handler, right? And not only will this resolve your anticipation problems, but if you can imagine how that plays into reactivity. I see a dog, I run at it. So this is where people have, a lot of my clients have a really hard time understanding, you know, if a dog is going through impulsive behavior in the home, it's going to translate on a leash. They have to learn inside and outside the home that A, B, and C does not mean move forward, and to build that impulse control, because dogs can't distinguish. All they know is that when they see certain things that forms a stimulus, it makes them feel a certain way, and that feeling creates forward momentum. In his case, it's probably excitement and maybe a little anxiety, right? Oh my God, move forward. Well, that's how a dog makes him feel when he sees it. And that's how, strangers don't get him excited, but they make him feel funny. You know, they kind of give him an off feeling. So these feelings that, dogs are conditioned animals, so all he knows is that these feelings that overwhelm him and come over him cause him to move towards the stimulus. So if we start breaking down all the little things that create forward motion and start doing exactly what I did with something as simple as a leash handle and adding more and more stimulus as the training progresses, you're going to start not only killing anticipation, but this is going to bleed into helping you with leash reactivity. Whew, it is storming outside. So I hope that helps you understand like the why this is so important. I know that anticipation is something you want to work on anyway, but on an even deeper level, why it's so imperative that we actually break these things down for him. So instead of, one of the ways that you will be able to implement this at home will be your crate is going to be a lifesaver because you're going to be able to have him in it and prepare yourself to work on this, right? Because if he is out running around in the house free and you go and grab your keys because you're moving it from one table to another, he doesn't know that and starts to become impulsive over it, you've got a loophole in your system, right? We just talked about the loophole. So at first it's going to be like, crate, okay, you're in your crate until I'm ready to work on this because I can't allow these inconsistencies. And that's going to be hard at first for you because he's with you a lot. And we've already talked about sleep as being important, so you already know that that needs to happen throughout the day with crate time. But thinking about that, using that crate on an even higher level, how can I keep my world so consistent that I can get through these behaviors quicker? Because I can fix anticipation really quickly, but I have no problems with putting dogs back in crates and waiting for their next session. People who own their own dogs don't like to do that as much because it takes away from their time together. But if you want to nip this in the butt and get this accomplished faster, you're actually going to want to make sure that he's crated whenever you don't have that time to really address this, because those inconsistencies will make it really hard for you. And I think he's probably anticipates a ton of stuff, right? If a leash handle makes him anticipate, and I know balls and dogs and all these other doorways, sometimes all these other things make him anticipate. I have a feeling that a lot of things that you do make him anticipatory, like grabbing your keys or shoes, so on and so forth. So now that he didn't anticipate, I can let him off. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I think that that was a really good small example, and I can add more to it later now that you kind of have a better understanding of why this is a detrimental thing to work on and how it plays into his other behaviors. So let's go. Sit. You're a good boy.